checking out RB&D Reviews, and welcome to our new video for What to Watch with Your Popcorn. I am Rob.
And I am Dave.
And we got a request to review the first Rambo movie, First Blood, which obviously stars Sylvester Stallone from 1982. In this movie, he plays a Vietnam veteran who is looking for... He goes to a small town looking for a former friend of his, and he ends up unfairly being picked up off the street as a drifter, and he's being mistreated by the sheriff's department, and he just snaps, and he uses what he learned in Vietnam to survive and kill in order to stand up for himself, sort of. So, like I said, Dave, the movie came out in 1982, and what I like about having people put in for movies to request is that I'll admit I have not seen any of the Rambo or even the Rocky movies, but I know who they are. And then when people are like, okay, can you please watch this movie? That means I'm like, okay, I better get busy and at least get familiar with them. And I don't know, I've seen a lot of war-related movies lately, and even though this one came out in 82, they all seem to be saying something very similar, that war isn't the answer and nothing ever good comes from it. And it messes the soldiers up because it's hard for them to readapt to civilized world as Rambo kind of does here, and soldiers don't really, a lot of them don't talk about their experiences because they've been horrible. And Rambo is, he's kind of like the outcast in this small hick town world in this movie.
Like the police mistreating him, kind of like, it represents how the government mistreats our veterans by not doing anything for them when they get out, and like just basically like not giving them like the resources they need, and not really like feeling sorry for them and taking better care of them, really.
I agree. Here's what's ironic. This movie is set during Christmas time, you know, where you're supposed to be good to your fellow man. Now, well, we just mentioned the sheriff's department mistreats him, especially the sheriff. I think I saw him more as a judgmental person for judging him on Rambo's appearance, and he's taking advantage of and abusing his power at different points in the movie. And you know, it's just of course, when the Vietnam War veterans were coming home, they weren't given the warm welcome that our World War II veterans were getting. They were like, it's mentioned in this movie, some of them were looked upon as, you know, murderers and all that. So that's a good point to make. And out of all Stallone, he gives a very calm performance in this movie, but when he's asked to be emotional with his character, he is, and he's very convincing.
Right, yeah, you really feel for him in this movie and whatnot. You feel what's happening to him and whatnot, because he's being like mistreated by the police and everything, especially the chief of police, just telling him to like get out when he's trying to like pass through town and get to the next town, trying to get home and everything, and find his friend. And
well, he does kind of find his friend in the beginning of the movie. I don't want to give anything away, but he does kind of find what he's looking for. And then there's something tragic that happened with this friend that also kind of plays along with the soldiers that went to the Vietnam veterans, our veterans. For a very serious movie, there were a couple interesting dark humor elements that I kind of like. You know, there's a moment where Rambo's in the mine and the army is not sure whether he's dead or not, and one guy, and I guess the sergeant's like, go in there and see if he's in there, and the guys are like, I'm not going in there. It's really funny, because oftentimes in a lot of different movies, they're like, go in there, oh, okay, and then something happens to him. You know, I thought that was funny. It's like they've watched all these war movies from the 40s and other films, and like, go in there. No, I know better. I'm not going in there. He might be in there because he's armed and stuff.
And the scenes where there's like standoffs in the street and whatnot, it also like, and how he does like all this like incredible tactics. It's almost like that once Schwarzenegger movie, the one where he's got to like fight getting like all these like real like big weapons and whatnot, like a rocket launcher, because he breaks into an Army-Navy surplus. Schwarzenegger does, and he goes like to the special gun room behind the counter and gets all these like guns and whatnot and explosives. That's kind of like how this was in a way.
Yeah, well, Rambo's kind of, you know, he kind of, what's the phrase? He's kind of, you know, got snapped, you know, with what happened early in the movie. So he's kind of going into mode where he has to defend himself no matter what the cost is.
And he's like a special Green Beret, and he's trained to like live off of nothing and make like something big out of nothing, and like live for days without food and water, and without proper shelter and without proper medical care, and he can survive. He's basically as diehard as they come, you know.
Yeah, he is. But besides all the loud and angry moments, there's some nice quiet moments in the film, like where two characters are talking to each other. Like, there's a scene where the sheriff is talking to Rambo's former command, who comes over to try and, tell Rambo to calm down, try to help him out. There's a nice moment where the sheriff and him are talking, and of course there's a scene towards the end of the movie that was also pretty good too, where you can kind of see the characters, settle down and talks about how they really feel amid all the car chases and all the buildings getting blown up. One thing I learned about this movie is don't piss people off because they'll turn your town into crap, like what happens here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed this movie very much. Like I said, I've never seen the film series, so I'm wondering how they were able to make sequels out of this, like how they can take Rambo into a guy who's a Vietnam veteran who snapped and where to go after that.
Yeah, well, you'll be surprised what they do with the sequels. I mean, the sequels are nothing like this. They basically the sequels take place like back in Vietnam, where he has to. I think the second one is where he's got to go like rescue a whole bunch of POWs that have been missing for a while, and he's got to break into like Vietnamese camps and take them out one by one with tactics. And then the third one, I think he's like trying to escape because he gets captured at the end of the second or whatever.
So they're prequels, more or less. And you definitely would recommend this movie with your popular
Definitely,
reviews.
Yeah. I like this movie.
Yeah, I liked it too. I mean, I think now I'm going to check out Stallone's other work. Now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's our take on First Blood, and thank you very much for watching. And leave your comments about the movie if you have seen it. And thank you very much for watching.